Life.
Uh-oh, is this thing on? I don't even know this thing on. Y'all gonna have to forgive me while I set up. I started late.
This is more than just rap, it's a lifestyle. Got me trapping, making money on my PayPal. Keep the 9 on me, nigga, like it's K-Cow. I took the whole pill, boy, I ain't coming down. I got some pills and some pounds, send them out of town. She said the pussy wet, so I'm trying to drown.
Me. I gotta get set up.
Nobody got my own sound. I'm the ringleader, boy, you a fucking clown. Now if it ever go down, yeah, I'm down for it. Yeah, I'm down for the game, nigga, download it. The poet, make my pictures roll it, name it, probably sold it. 100,000 on my neck, I froze it. In the trap, I'm closing. Flow harder than the SATs, grew up banging RTB. Niggas throwing shade, I just chill up under money tree. Niggas from the hood, now they wanna see us overseas.
I'm
Young
late.
black man, about to build his own company, poet.
Why the hell they keep on doing this?
Lifestyle.
Why the hell they keep on doing this? What is this new shit YouTube keep on doing my donation slots? Wait a minute. The hell they keep doing my donations?
Sex, money, power, respect, it's a lifestyle. Ain't nothing like you rap niggas live what we be talking about. Been at it for a while. Tell the nigga check my seed file. Whole
Is that even the right one?
Getting money by the pound. They don't want no smoke, I keep the army on speed now. Never leave no witnesses, so there'll never be a trial. 100 round clip, that's a flagrant, I do your foul. Pull up on your squad, cock, ain't squeal. Model bitches on my dick, I swear was there before the deal. She don't do gymnastics for the squad, I bet she call Will. Pop that pussy like a pill, pop that pussy for the real. Off this rap, we making racks, now it's time to get the meal.
There we go.
Niggas said we wouldn't be shit, they like cause we is the shit. Mad cause they striking that we bury bombs with the hits. See your wifey backstage, she wanted me to sign a tip. She said she thirsty, I ain't selfish, so I let her drink the kiss. Life is good, life is great, they doing that, that's why they hate after this verse. Say I'm the best, but that my watch told them they late. It's no debate, why BMF, I be your favorite rapper, surrogate. On these beats I urinate, I defecate, ejaculate. Predator, pray woke up like what I'm gonna eat today. Your rappers pile them on the plate, get in the booth and levitate. You niggas fake, you featherweight, we heavyweight, we dominate. Flow heaven sitting, season like grandma's marinade.
Hold on. Before we get into this, we're gonna do a small trailer, right? We're gonna do a small trailer while I get my goods in, because I don't want to be talking and talking while I'm rolling the goods, right? So this is for those who watching the channel. This is a small trailer. This is nothing to do with the police video we're gonna do now. This has something to do with abortion. This is a skit I was doing earlier, but I stopped it when I heard about the mass shooting in New York, right? I stopped it. I said, let me get on something like this. Now, I want to explain when the video comes. But let me roll this blunt up, you know what I'm saying, and give y'all a preview of what's coming tomorrow. This is a sneak preview. It's going to take about 3 minutes, right? Because I'm fast. Here we go. It is 90 degrees at night in California. It is hot as hell. I'm doing this video, and I'm suffering. But I'm not suffering more than babies that haven't been born yet. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do it like this. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let's 2 minutes. This skit coming tomorrow. So if y'all want the abortion history, is coming tomorrow. Let's hear from a pro-choice expert that got a history with baby abortions and aborting babies.
Argued 2 abortion cases in the U.S. Supreme Court, including the 1992 case, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, which is credited with saving Roe versus Wade. I was a co-founder of the Center for Reproductive Rights, and I spent 20 years of my career arguing on behalf of women who needed abortions and other reproductive health care.
No wonder you wearing that pantsuit. Most Democrat women that like to assassinate babies wear pantsuits, a la Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. So what do you got to say to the world of my YouTube about abortions?
So my answer is depressing but direct. Roe versus Wade will be dead within the year.
Good. Wasn't that Donald Trump plan the whole time? And Donald Trump was sent by the Lord to deliver that message.
The constitutional right to choose whether or not to have an abortion will no longer be protected by the United States Constitution. This court is likely to overrule Roe and Casey or so undermine its meaning.
Good, because abortions override the meaning of human life.
Now, I heard your gasp. I'm going to say it again. The federal Constitution of the United States will no longer protect reproductive freedom.
And it will protect human life just the way the Lord designed it.
Now, I'm also here to tell you.
Oh, now we are, but that's
there's
enough.
hope.
That's enough. We're back on. Okay, we back on. Now, it's been something happened in New York City. It's been a white supremacist done went and done something crazy, like shot up a town or a community of black people. Went into the store and done something crazy. Now, I'm going to get into the video right now, to the news clip of what all happened. Where we at? Where did I put this video at? I think I put it right here, right? Okay, put it right here. Put it right here, right? We're gonna put it in, and I'm gonna show you how disrespectful Joe Biden is, right? A whole community of black people is messed up, right? It's messed up. They in pain, right? They just suffering right now, right? They just had 10 people just murdered, by a white supremacist, and this time it was true, right? This time Joe Biden can say a white supremacist, right? This time the Democrats can say a white supremacist because it was a white supremacist. Don't mean he was a Republican or a conservative, because you got white supremacists that are liberals too. You don't know his affiliation, right? You don't know what his mental state was, right? You may learn more, but you can't automatically assign him to a far-right, right-wing conspiracy, white supremacy novel, whatever you want to call it. You can't do that. And the Democrats are going to quick to do that, right? But the Democrats are going to use that because as the Democrats are defunding the police, they also have a war on the police, right? And the war on the police is getting covered up, right? Even though it's one case of white supremacy that we know for a fact that went on this year, it's several hundreds of cases of police getting assaulted or shot or even murdered that's not even being reported, right? But we finna get into it right now. But watch how Joe Biden disrespect. Joe Biden is out. You read this, it say, Biden delivers remarks at National Peace Officers Memorial Service, right? Now, this is a National Peace Office Memorial, right? That means you're supposed to pay respects. Joe Biden get on here and he totally disrespect the officers, right? He get on here and he talk about Build Back Better. He get on here and basically blame them for lots of stuff, talking about they psychiatrists and they supposed to, I don't know if he was being sarcastic or not, right? But he get on here and he talk about how good he is to the police, and he act like he funding the police and all this old stuff, and it's crime in America and his police are being defunded at a high rate. We finna get into this video because it's gonna be fast paced because the game on, right? We finna get into fast paced. Here we go.
Before I begin, let me say a word about yesterday's mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. A lone gunman, armed with weapons of war and hate-filled soul, shot and killed 10 innocent people in cold blood.
Now that is true, right? That is true. Every last part of that is true. That dude is cold-hearted. And can nobody defend him on their side? Liberal, Republican, Christian, can nobody defend him, right? But you notice on the news, right, they don't say black, when somebody black kills somebody, right, and stuff like that, they say a suspect. Now they're using the word white. You see the difference here? They don't use black. They took that out because they don't want the crime to be seem like it's they talking about it on a racial, equality level, right? But you can use white in a crime, but you can't use black on the news. Google it.
We're learning new details this morning about a terrifying shooting at a Buffalo grocery store that left 10 people dead and another 3 injured.
At a grocery store on Saturday afternoon.
Police say the gunman, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron, drove hours to the store and live streamed the shooting to the popular streaming site Twitch.
Jill and I, like all of you, pray for the victims and their families. and a devastated community.
Now, authorities are officially calling it a hate crime, saying that it was racially motivated.
Now that was, right? He had a manifesto. He had the word nigga on the gun. He had nigga somewhere else. He was yelling nigga and stuff like that, yelling obscenities and stuff like that. So that part was correct. Ain't no fake news on that.
I've been receiving updates from my team in the White House that's in close contact with the Justice Department.
Hold on, my phone at. Can somebody
We're
give me
still
some
gathering the
donations?
facts.
CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette has the details.
Dressed in a paper medical gown, 18-year-old Peyton Gendron of Conklin, New York, was arraigned last night, charged with first-degree murder. He's accused of opening fire at this grocery store in Buffalo, New York, about 200 miles from his home.
He shot a woman, he shot a deacon, he shot another woman, and then he...
Women. How cold-blooded is you? I mean, you shooting women. How heartless is that? Heartless, right? But this is what happens when you build all of this hate in the world. You have people that are intentionally going out and committing crimes like this because they mentally messed up. And Joe Biden quick to talk about, oh, I'm going to sign some bills for mental health and stuff like that. Well, you can't tell me that this dude right here is sane. You can't tell me that this dude was writing manifestos. You're gonna find out that he was a loner. You know what I'm saying? He was being picked on. You're gonna find out a lot about this dude. You know, about how he built up this hate in the days to come. So, his ex-classmates gonna come out, stuff like that. But you're gonna build up, and you understand this is mental health. A lot of this stuff is going on right now. Drug problems. You know what I'm saying? Problems with mass shootings and stuff like that. A lot of that has to do with mental health. You know what I'm saying? Not giving this dude no excuse or nothing like that, because ain't no excuse for this, right? Mental health or not. It's people who with mental health have the capacity to know you're not supposed to murder people, no matter how much or how bad somebody else treated you.
He went in the store and started shooting again.
Well, already the Justice Department has stated publicly that it's investigating the matter as a hate crime.
Police say Gendron allegedly shouted racial slurs during the shooting, and a source tells CBS News he had a slur written on his gun. Police say Gendron may have posted a manifesto online filled with hateful, racist language.
He may have. You know he did, right? You know he did.
11 of the shooting victims were black.
Racially motivated act of white supremacy and violent extremism.
That gave the Democrats, right, ammunition right there. Remember, white supremacy, they've been yelling for the longest, is the greatest threat to America with no evidence. They had no case to point to. Like, this particular case is white supremacy at its finest. This particular case is what we're talking about. This particular case is a hate crime, right? And we know it's a hate crime. Right? They can point to this right here, and they're going to use this, you know what I'm saying, to put this and abortion. You see how everything is coming to light, right? Right now, abortions, gun rights, hate crimes, everything is coming together. A new COVID is coming. Everything is coming, a perfect storm towards the November election. Right? When only the Democrats are going to be able to save you. Everything is coming at a perfect storm. Police, I mean, look at it. Ain't been no white supremacy, none since Donald Trump been in office, besides that march or something like that. But no signs of violence, right? No homicide, no none of that. With people coming out saying with nigga on the gun, none of that. None of that. They've been screaming it for 4 years. They've been trying to put the people in the January 6th as white supremacists. Everybody as white supremacists. It ain't work. It didn't. They tried to put the teachers as white supremacists. It didn't work, right? They tried to put Republicans as white supremacists. You didn't vote for this person, or you didn't vote as a senator with Joe Biden. You're a white supremacist, right? None of it stuck. But this right here is gonna stick.
Was pure evil. It was straight up racially motivated hate crime.
Police say Gendron was wearing military-style clothing and tactical gear, including a helmet where he had affixed a camera that live-streamed the shooting. He allegedly exchanged gunfire with a retired police officer working as a security guard inside the store, but was protected by his body armor.
He went in with body armor. He went in to kill. And he wanted to be a martyr. Anytime you live streaming and stuff like that, you're not worried about dying. Right? Because remember, the police is so peaceful, right? And you're gonna hear this a lot, right? I guarantee you're gonna hear this a lot, right? From every Black Lives Matter, every black politician, every black Democrat, every black liberal, right? If he was a black person, they would have shot him. If he was a black person, they would have killed him. Knowing there's lots of black people, right? Even nowadays, I got plenty of videos when black people done killed police officers and done gave up. Ambushed them, killed 3 or 4 of them, and done gave up. Everybody gets the same treatment because I got plenty of police officers shooting white people with guns too, right? And so it goes both ways. But you're going to see a lot of black people, a lot of liberals saying, oh, if he wasn't white, he would have been shot. The white people get special treatment. The white people this, the white people this, the black people this. Look at equality, look at the equity. We need to put the voting bill in. We need to do this. We need police this. We need police that. They're going to use this as a way to get police reform. Watch what I tell you. Because Joe Biden talked about police reform at the police memorial.
The security guard was killed.
As they do, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America.
Officers eventually confronted Gendron in the front of the store.
The suspect put the gun to his own neck. Buffalo police personnel, 2 patrol officers, talked the suspect into dropping the gun. He dropped the gun, took off some of his tactical gear, surrendered at that point.
What were they supposed to do after that? Shoot him, right? He surrendered, right? I mean, we wish things could happen, right? But the police, if they would have done something right, it was out of protocol, guess what? They would have been the ones put on trial. They would have been the ones went to jail. They would have been the ones persecuted. So they have to follow procedures. Ain't that what y'all wanted? Equality?
Gendron pleaded not guilty and is being held without bail. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Not guilty. He done shot 10 people, injured damn near 20, but he not guilty. On film, filmed it, on live, Twitch, but he not guilty.
News, New York.
A couple of weeks ago, we applauded FBI Director Christopher Wray for finally acknowledging a crisis in this country.
Now, this is the crisis in this country, right? We got plenty of mass shootings, right? We just had a mass shooting in Sacramento last week, right? A black dude who just got out of jail on bail reform, right? And shot a couple of people, right? Twice. We had 2 of them in Chicago last week, right? We got mass shootings all the time. But it only makes the news, right, when it's white on black, when it's a white supremacist. It don't even make the news when, right, it's a black person killing a cop.
The massive number of police officers being shot and killed in the line of duty.
The hearts are heavy once again, but a resolve must never ever waver. No one understands this more than the people sitting in front of me.
He called it one of the, quote, biggest phenomena that doesn't get attention.
Huh? The biggest, and this is Christopher Wray, right? The FBI director. One of the biggest problems in America we got that don't get enough attention. That's the intentional killing of cops. The intentional assault on cops. It don't get enough attention.
Agreed.
Moms, dads, children, family members, about how those folks in Buffalo feel today when they got the call.
And now, Wray's FBI has put out some troubling statistics which give some dire context to this issue. The FBI announced today that 73 officers were feloniously killed in the line of duty in 2021. That's a 59% increase from the 46 officers who were criminally killed in 2020.
Huh? Both of these are Biden era. War on cops. 46 and 73. Huh? Biden war on cops. The Democrats war on cops.
The average age of officers killed was 39. On average, they each devoted 12 years of service to law enforcement. 68 of the officers were male and 5 were female. And already in 2022, 19 officers have been intentionally killed while serving their communities.
19 already this year. And Joe Biden at the National Peace Officers Memorial, right, talking about something that ain't even concerning the safety of police.
Being here today and hearing the name of your husband, wife, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister brings it all back.
19 we'd see every day in our communities, 19 families with an empty place at the dinner table, 19 men and women who should have gotten to come home.
I grew up in a neighborhood where he became a cop, a firefighter, or a priest. I wasn't qualified for any of them, so here I am. But all kidding aside.
Oh, Joe Biden got a time to joke, right? 10 people just died in New York. He at a police memorial, right? Supposed to be showing his devotion, his love to fallen police officers. But he got time to joke about it. He could have been a police officer, but he didn't qualify for neither one, so here he is in the middle of a memorial for cops.
We expect so much more of all of you. We expect you to be drug counselors for the 100,000 overdose deaths.
Huh? Why did he put that in? Now he want to acknowledge the overdose. How he gonna be the counselor? You gotta stop the fentanyl from coming in, Joe. You can't say that to counselors. You gotta stop the fentanyl deaths from coming in. You gotta stop the border. You gotta stop all the immigration shit. Don't try to tie them in with immigration, huh? You see how he trying to? You gotta be counselor. I don't know if he being sarcastic or what. You gotta be counselors for the people, the 107 fentanyl deaths. Where's the connection in that? What the police officer got to do with the fentanyl deaths?
That took place this year. 100,000. We expect you to counsel those.
How they gonna counsel those 100,000 is dead? Joe Biden tripping. How you gonna counsel 107,000 people that's already deceased? We expect you to counsel those
who speak.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Damn it. Wait a minute. Damn it. I'm messing up big time. I'm messing up big time. There we go. I'm messing up big time, y'all. My bad up in the chat. I'm messing up big time. I'm messing up big time. Here we go. I'm messing up big time.
Couple in the midst of a violent confrontation, a husband and wife, man and woman.
It was another deadly weekend as the epidemic of gun violence continues, with police increasingly the targets.
So many of you are literally and figuratively get caught in the crossfire.
Overnight, an armed suspect opening fire, leading to a dangerous standoff in Washington, D.C., sending at least one officer to the hospital. After a brief barricade, the suspect remains at large.
Before they could contact them, he started firing shots at these officers.
This attack coming on the heels of a shooting during a traffic stop in Houston that left 47-year-old Corporal Charles Galloway dead, and another police shooting in New York that killed 22-year-old rookie Jason Rivera. His partner, 27-year-old Wilbert Moore, critically wounded when police say they were ambushed by a suspect during a domestic violence call.
Ambushed. Cops being ambushed, but do Joe Biden give a damn? No.
After their deaths, Moore's neighbor asked a reporter, quote, "Even the police aren't safe, so what hope is there for the rest of us?"
You're not trained psychologists. You're law enforcement officers.
Shootings across our nation's largest city and then across the nation as well.
Well, I think there's a lot of contributing factors to the gun violence. One being the bail reform that was enacted 2 years ago apparently is not working.
We expect you to be everything. We expect everything of you.
And that needs to be fixed immediately. And also, this union has called on the governor to appoint a special prosecutor just to deal with firearm and firearm-related crimes. This worked back in the late 80s and early 90s when we had the influx of narcotics in the streets of New York City, and I think that will work now.
Attorney General Merrick Garland honoring the sacrifices of first responders with a ceremony at the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Friday.
Memorial to honor police. But Joe Biden not honoring police. Watch when he get deeper into his speech.
But as the country recognizes Police Week, officers nationwide say they're struggling.
We simply do not have the manpower to compete with these out-of-control events and the mass shootings and massacres.
That's what happens when you defund the police. You don't have enough police officers when you defund the police. All the Democrats talking about defunding the police. You think they didn't accomplish that? With all the COVIDs and mandates and lockdowns and all the protesting? All the assaults? All the politicians turning on all the laws against them? You don't think they accomplished that?
With crime expected to be a core issue in the midterms, President Biden is highlighting his investments in public safety. The Biden administration says $10 billion from the American Rescue Plan has been committed to initiatives like job training, bonuses, and violence prevention programs. Still, he's encouraging cities and states to spend more of the COVID relief money to help bring down crime.
Tuesday, Corporal Benjamin Cooper of the Joplin, Missouri Police Department was gunned down as he attempted to take an armed suspect into custody. 2 fellow officers also shot. Officer Jason Reed will not recover from his injuries and remains on life support. His plans are made to donate his organs.
It's police officers dying at an alarming rate, the most ever in the history, and it's increasing at an alarming rate, right? The things that we don't talk about, something we don't talk about, something the Biden administration is hiding.
An attack on a law enforcement officer is an attack on every community across this country. The very foundation of a free society is based off of the security within our community.
Being a cop today is a heck of a lot harder than it's ever been.
Well, at least he admitted, right? Being a cop today is a heck of a lot harder than it was today, right? When you got niggas around here, right, that's ambushing cops, right? It's like a game. They put it on social media, right? Now you got this crazy white supremacist. He done went and shot up blacks, right? But they all getting these ideas off of the atmosphere these Democrats are creating, making it acceptable to hate people, right? When you separate yourself from people, when you blame people for stuff, when you actually separate in half the country from others, you create a atmosphere of hate, and then all the hate come out, all the real white supremacists come out, all the black hateful people come out, from every race. People start to show their own intentions because you make it that way. Look how many people was discriminating on people when that mask thing came out. Right? They was treating people like shit because they didn't have on no mask. On the store, on the plane, in the school, in the business, they was treating you like shit. The police was treating you like shit. Right? You allow people to separate and hate. What happens when that hate keep on manifesting? Things like this happen. Murder on cops. Murder on black people. Murder on white people. Murder on Asians.
COVID-19. 1 million deaths in America.
He's at a national peace officer memorial talking about COVID deaths. Right? Look at this, right? He's supposed to be showing respect to the police officer. He can't stop talking about COVID in front of the police officers at a memorial. What kind of respect is that?
Leaving behind, the estimates indicate, 9 significant family members or other. We'll also look at that empty chair at the kitchen table.
And you look at the ambush attacks, it tells a story. 1/3 of these officers that are shot are directly related to ambush attacks, simply because of the color of the uniform that they wear.
Right? This is what Joe Biden should be talking about. The attack and the ambushes on cops just because they cops. Not COVID. You ain't supposed to be talking about that at a memorial for police officers that have fallen. How disrespectful is that? They're not here to hear that. That's not it. They're not doctors. They're not scientists. They police officers. Show them some respect, Joe Biden.
It's really getting into a crisis mode here where law enforcement officers show up to work every single day. They suit up and show up. And what we're doing is we're finding less officers willing to step forward and take this job at a time when we really need to start, be backfilling the amount of people that are leaving this profession.
The amount of people that are leaving this profession, that's defunding the police. It's happening in every city. People are leaving the police force and people are not trying to be police officers. That's defunding the police at its finest.
So many kids left behind because of COVID, schools closing down. You're engaged in longer shifts. The strain and stress of it all is why I continue to be so committed to do more, do better, to keep you safe.
A third officer, Rick Hershey, was shot in the face. He's in serious but stable condition. Suspect fled and later opened fire again on police who were able to return fire. He died at the scene.
How safe is that when a police officer is shot in the face? How safe did he feel in his America? In America, how safe did he feel at his job? Shot in the face.
To keep our community safe and to build trust and respect that everyone deserves, particularly all of you.
In Texas, Harris County Corporal Charles Galloway died after being shot during a traffic stop. And it was the same in Salinas, California, where police officer Jorge David Alvarado Jr. was gunned down in much the same manner.
Gunned down, right? And Joe Biden this year, Joe Biden is not at the memorial talking about these police officers. He's talking about Build Back Better, right? He's talking about COVID, right? He's not paying respect to these officers at the time when he's supposed to be paying respect to these officers. What kind of disrespect is that?
2 weeks ago.
Shortages are plaguing Hampton Roads. Much like the rest of the country, law enforcement is working to close the gaps in their units.
Some police departments are still looking to fill hundreds of positions.
We should focus on and fund the things we know that work, like crime prevention and community policing. Not one cop in a car, but two walking the street.
You can't keep officers safe in their car. How in the hell you gonna keep them safe walking the street? They gunning, they ambushing officers. You want to put them in the communities with no protection of a car and expect them to patrol the community when they're not safe? That'll work, Joe Biden.
Cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, who can restore trust and safety.
Some would say, Chief, this just isn't for me now.
Newport News Police Chief Steve Drew says quite a few officers decided to leave the department over the past couple years. He says it comes down to several reasons, but he saw a drop when the death of George Floyd sparked protests across the nation.
That's when Joe Biden openly started his war on police. When George Floyd protest was happening, Joe Biden was at a war with the police. Remember, everything was against the police. Change the laws. Do this. A knee on the neck. Right? I can't breathe. Remember all of that? Do you remember all of that? That was your president, Joe Biden.
So we lost some people, and I saw the number of individuals that we're used to seeing apply for positions. It was almost cut in half. And that's concerning.
But Chief Drew isn't alone. Every police department across Hampton Roads is down dozens of officers. But Norfolk Police is seeing the biggest gap with well over 200 vacancies. In fact, Virginia Beach Police still needs to bring in 93 sworn officers. Portsmouth Police follows with 75 vacancies. Hampton, Chesapeake, and Suffolk follow with much lower numbers. Chief Drew says he had to choose which departments to pull officers from to keep up on the back-to-back 911 calls.
What department to pull officers from? So if you pull officers from, like, let's say, homicide, to put them on patrol, that's less officers for homicides. If you take officers off of narcotics to put them on patrol, that's less officers doing narcotics, right? A robbery, whatever, you know what I'm saying, or processing, right? Whatever officers that are doing another job, they have to be pulled off of their job to do regular jobs so the police can keep up with the number of calls. So when you lose one or you gain one, you lose another. How is that funding the police?
That we might have to downsize. I might have to take a drug unit or a narcotics unit or a gang unit and put individuals back in patrol. We've had to do that with our traffic division and canine, and it is very concerning for me for communities.
Huh? Very concerning, right? What happened to all this money Joe Biden been putting into the police officers and the police police organizations? This not from last year. This from this month. These videos from this month, 2 months ago. When Joe Biden get on here after the State of the Union talking about, I'm going to put $10 billion. I want all the states to use their money, you know what I'm saying, the COVID release package, you know, to help combat crime. Joe Biden said that. He funded this. He gave the money for this. He said it is working.
Because at the end of the day, that's who's going to suffer the most when those positions aren't filled and aren't met.
Folks, the answer is not to abandon the streets. It's not to choose between safety and equal justice.
Joyce, well, it seems like Seattle's council and mayor finally agree on something when it comes to policing, that there is a shortage of them. But how to recruit them, that's another story.
How many cities are short of police officers in the last year? How many cities and democratic cities and cities with a community of color, right? How many officers are quitting? How many shortages? How many vacancies? How many people are not applying for them jobs in America?
I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness and, in fact, are able to demonstrate they can protect the community and everybody in the community.
That's what you call defunding the police. That's a cute way. We're not going to give them any federal money unless they live up to a certain standards on how we say they can patrol the community they live in. If they don't live up to the standards we apply, they don't get the federal funding. That's what you call defunding the police. Because you can bribe them and tell them if you ain't done this, or you ain't doing this, or you ain't done these chokeholds, so you don't get federal funding, right? That's what defunding the police is. Why you think they quitting?
Gun violence, as we know, continues to be a major concern in Philadelphia, and we know there is a shortage of police officers in the city. Now the department is working to not only fill vacancies, but to also improve recruitment.
How many cities? How many cities? Philadelphia, Oakland, New York, Los Angeles. How many cities? How many cities done defunded the police? How many cities looking for police officers? How many?
Which is essential.
We're going to be discussing some ideas and some concepts and some things, but we won't be defunding our police. We won't be dismantling our police. We won't be disbanding our police. We won't be ending our police force in a city. I guess you might have some cities that want to try, but it's going to be very sad situation if they did, because people aren't going to be protected.
Huh? Right now, do you feel protected? Do people in these communities feel protected? Do black people feel protected? Do them black people that was at the store, did they feel protected? Right? What if some of them would have had their Second Amendment rights? Right? What if some of them would have had a license, you know what I'm saying, to be able to carry a conceal? Where he would have killed 10 people? Where he would have injured over 20? Where he would have got out of the store alive? If more people was able to defend themselves? It's always going to be people like that. And it's always not going to be enough people to defend themselves. So you're going to keep on getting these, right? And not just from white supremacists, Also from the nigga around the corner in Chicago, the nigga in New York, the nigga in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? The immigrant fit across the border. The terrorists that the Biden administration didn't catch. And vet. Don't act like it goes on. Don't act like this is shock. People, oh, we got to end this. No, we not going to end it. It's not going to happen. Oh, it's going to stop. We got to stop it now. They've been hollering the same shit since the 80s. We got to stop it now. It ain't never stopped. It slowed down, and now it's picking back up. And the only reason it's picking back up because the people that are in charge and the police officers are telling you this by leaving.
And we should agree, it's not to defund the police, it's to fund the police.
Yeah, absolutely, Adrian. Just like so many American cities, they are dealing with a violent crime problem here in Kansas City and a police officer shortage. And to hear the president say, fund the police, was certainly very well received.
It should have been very disrespectful. It should have been disrespectful. You disrespected the police by saying you're going to fund the police, and all these police officers are basically leaving the force because they don't feel protected. If you want to ask is defund the police, right, really happening, don't ask no Democrat. Don't ask no liberal. Go ask the police.
Man, it's hurtful. Obviously the last few years, it has just been overall brutally hard to be a police officer here in the U.S.
Fund them with the resources, the training they need to protect our communities and themselves.
Brutally hard to be a police officer in the United States. Not in one city, not in two cities, right? In the United States. When have you ever heard the police officer say it's hard to be a police officer in America? You don't think other countries hearing this? You don't think Vladimir Putin hearing this? You don't think President Xi is hearing this? Then we want to go over there and talk about how moral we is and how immoral they is and how they got slaves and how they treating their people, right? But we sitting over here letting our people get slaughtered. A race of people through abortions, murder, genocide, drugs, homosexuality. We killing a whole race of people. And we got nerve to say something about other countries. When we slaughtering black people and black people getting slaughtered on a level that's not seen in any other country in the world. Think about this. More black people die in America from homicide. We're not talking about America as a whole. We're talking about just America. Than basically any country in the world that's not at war. Any terrorist country you want to say, right? Put it like this. It's been more murders, and it's probably, I wouldn't say that because them Taliban probably been tearing some shit up over there. Since America left, they probably been tearing some shit up over there. We don't know, right? But in the average terrorist, before America left, right, it was more murders in the city of Chicago than it was in the whole country of Afghanistan. Murders. Fact. Google it if you don't believe me. We don't know the number right now because they're not reporting it, right? But if they did report it, it'll still be more murders in Chicago than the whole country of Afghanistan, a terrorist country that beat women, behead people, burn people, hang people. They got all kind of crazy ass laws over there. But we got a higher murder rate than Afghanistan in the city of Chicago.
When you see protests that are happening across the country, when you have politicians, athletes, musicians that are speaking out in an anti-police type fashion, when you see people that you work good, hard cases on, violent offenders, people that should be off the street, that are getting right back out, either bail reduction or, released early, it's just very, very tough.
And restore trust among the police and the people.
That put us all in this situation of public safety.
He says Seattle cops have transitioned to neighboring cities like Kent, Auburn, or Puyallup.
Police are leaving Seattle looking for better jobs and getting paid more, right? And what cities is them? Them are conservative cities, right? Think about this, black people or liberals, if you're watching this damn video, right? The police are leaving your community and going to the white communities. Ha! They're leaving the hood and going to Hollywood. They pay better, less risk, better vacation time, less politics, and you can do your job and you will be respected. Think about it. Who you gonna work for? You gonna work in a city where they shoot at you, the politicians don't care, you know what I'm saying? The constant lawsuits is dangerous, right? Anything you do, you can mess around and get sued or fired. Or you want to work in a town where you can just ride around all day and really ain't got to worry about nothing and get paid for it with way more money than you was getting paid, right? Way more money than you was getting paid when you was risking your life. And guess what? All these towns got the same budget, right? It's just the ones in conservative cities is using theirs.
Or those who have offered a different political climate with 5-figure bonuses or higher pay scales.
Well, here's what I value. As soon as I came to office, we inherited a raging pandemic.
That's what Joe Biden value. Think about it. He's adding memorials talking about this is what I value. When it's officers who have family, officers who have passed, officers who have been shot and murdered on a job, family members are there in the front row. And the only thing you got to say is, here's what I'm really concerned about, COVID. Wow. How disrespectful is that, Joe Biden? Their family members are in the front row at a memorial. This is what they invited. This is what they was invited there for, to show respect to these family members. And you're talking about COVID. That's why the police officers are quitting.
Some Norfolk police officers are calling staffing shortages within the department a major problem. This comes as Norfolk Police Chief Larry Boone hangs up his badge after more than 30 years on the force.
With only 2 million people vaccinated, we need to rebuild our economy.
Can you read what it says down there? It says at National Peace Officer Memorial Service. He's talking about COVID and rebuilding the economy. Look at the people, how disrespectful that is. Look at her in the back. What do you think the family members are thinking right now when they come to hear the president talk about their family member who have devoted their life to serve this country, right? Have been murdered or anything may have happened, right? We don't know the situation, but have fallen. You there talking about COVID and a pandemic?
And restore public safety. We understood the risks that communities could face with rising violence during the pandemic.
Rising violence during the pandemic. No, the pandemic is when you put all the mandates on a lot of police officers, like and agents and police officers, and federal officers, and a lot of them quit. Right? A lot of them couldn't do what they job. With this free bail and all these summer of love riots when you told them they can't do their job. That wasn't no pandemic. That was a summer of love. That was the George Floyd protest. People didn't riot. It wasn't no riots and no violence because of no damn pandemic. The pandemic, I don't want you to say I'm tripping, right? It was a rise after the fentanyl thing, the fentanyl man, right? That's when the rise in the crime happened. That's when people wasn't breaking in stores and stuff like that when it first came out because stores and stuff was locked down. Right? But guess what? When fentanyl dude died, right? People came out during the COVID and hit the stores that was already closed because of the COVID. The stores wasn't open. The stores was closed. They didn't break. When the first 15 days, they said, okay, it's going to take 15 days. We're going to close the business down for this long. People wasn't breaking in stuff. As soon as the fentanyl man came, right? People start breaking into stuff. Riot, Summer Love, this person died, he got shot. Oh, it's escalated, another person got shot. Come on. But nobody talk about all the officers died. Way more officers died, right? 46 one year, 76 or 72 the other year. It haven't been, right? You can add up the black people that died in the last 10 years from the hands of the police, and it wouldn't add up to the numbers of the last 3 years of people killing the police. That's a fact.
And at a time when state and local budgets were shrinking because they didn't have the tax base,
we could be facing in a year's time having just under 700 cops to work a million plus city population.
That's in Seattle. Police are leaving at an alarming rate. In the city of Seattle, the whole city, you might have less than 700 people hired by the police force. How many officers gonna be on duty at once? Can they work overtime? How many gonna be on homicide? How many gonna be on robbery? How many gonna be on rape? How many gonna be on drugs? How many gonna be on K9? How many gonna be on special units? How are you gonna spread these 700 officers possibly that's gonna be in the city of Seattle? How are you gonna spread them out? Have Joe Biden ever addressed that? The drugs going on in Seattle, the homicide, the robberies, the rape, the all around this crime that's going on and the violence. Did he address that? No, but he wanted to sit up here and address pandemics. Oh, wait, play.
Having to lay off cops, firefighters, teachers. They're under tremendous strain.
San Diego Police Department is seeing officers leave their jobs at what's being called an alarming rate.
Tonight, the San Diego Police Officers Association is speaking out.
So we made sure we passed a thing called the American Rescue Plan, providing historic $350 billion directly to the cities and counties and states and tribes.
Huh? I don't think y'all hear what I'm saying, right? I don't think you listening to what I'm saying. He's at a police memorial talking about a Build Back Better plan that's been dead for over 3 months. No respect to the family members of the fallen officers. None.
The Village of Robbins is trying to operate without the majority of their public safety team.
It's something that we will address. It's something that has to be addressed, and in that time, it will be handled when we sit down with the union.
The South Suburban Village Police Union says more than a dozen officers have now resigned or just called out for the foreseeable future, blaming the lack of resources, low pay, and major safety concerns.
Huh? Lack of resources, low pay, and major safety concerns. But Joe Biden talking about how much money he done donated to the police officers. Joe Biden talking about how much money he done gave in the rescue plan to help with crime. And police officers are quitting because they're underpaid, they don't feel safe, and they don't have the equipment to work with. This is what you call defunding the police. Right? But they're going to talk about the white supremacists, right? They're going to talk about that. They're going to talk about the guns the ghost guns, but they're not going to talk about the officers that are falling damn near every day. 2 a week.
So they didn't have to lay off law enforcement. They could keep the cops on the job.
For extra money for incentives, as data shows recruitment this year is not keeping up with departures.
That's not a recipe for success. That's a recipe for disaster.
Manpower problem. More than 100 police officers are being reassigned from their specialty units and going back to patrol.
Yeah, they need this. The Phoenix Police Department says the move is in response to staffing shortages.
Fight to keep communities safe. That's working.
Oh, it's terrible, Liz. You know, what we're seeing is just a complete culture of lawlessness in this country. And it's thanks to woke politicians who have literally destroyed our criminal justice system. And in addition to that video, we had 2 mass shootings in Chicago over the weekend with 12 people shot. And a disturbing video out today where someone shot on the sidewalk and there's a little child with his backpack running away, just trying to get home safe. And the sad part is, we don't have to live like this.
More than 300.
Huh? You see? You see where this is going right here? You see how basically disrespectful this is? Right? They're not talking about the kids that's running down the streets getting shot, right? He's not talking about none of that. He's not even talking about the police that's been shot or the police that's been murdered. Right? That's not in his plan. It's the Build Back Better plan.
Communities from big cities to small towns are using more than $10 billion. The American Rescue Plan funds for violence prevention and public safety this year.
Reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question.
It's what he's doing right now, reimagining police. Right? He reimagining, right? Because anytime the police is quitting, anytime the police are leaving and going other places, right, and retiring, and you getting your agenda, that's defunding the police. That's reimagining the police. That's doing exactly what you saying you was going to do. Think about it. They getting exactly what they want. And you can't do nothing about it.
Building new police training facilities. Recruiting, which is getting harder.
What does reimagining policing mean, and do?
It means when recruiting is getting harder and people are quitting is getting higher. Harder and higher. Right? Exactly what Joe Biden and the Democrats want. When nobody wants to be police officers no more because the job is too dangerous. Exactly what the Democrats wanted. And exactly what you're getting.
Do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Hiring and giving policemen a raise.
He's talking about defunding the police.
Ain't no officers receive no raise. If these officers are quitting their job because they underfunded, they don't have the equipment, where is the funding going? Right? Joe Biden was in the debate talking about this money, right? This money supposed to got released in the rescue funds a year ago. And it was crime happening a year ago. And you was telling them to use the money a year ago. You mean you still telling the same people to use the same money and they haven't done it yet? You shouldn't be mad at the people. You should be mad at the people for not using it. Why you ain't investigating why they not using it? If they not using it for crime, Joe Biden, investigate what they using it for, because they got to be using it for something. You gave it to them over a year ago. What is they using the money for? If you said use the money for crime last year, crime has went up and they ain't done it yet. Investigate why they ain't done it, or if they ain't doing it, or if they say they doing it, investigate how they doing it, or where the money going to. Simple. That's crackhead rocket scientist stuff. Where the money going? You've been hollering this last year. You hollered this at the State of the Union. People are getting murdered. Now you're still hollering this at the police memorial?
Is not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
he has no law enforcement
that's not
support.
true.
Almost
that's
nothing.
Not,
Pardoning with federal, state, local, community groups to reduce gun violence.
Didn't Donald Trump tell y'all he has no law officer support? Right? Y'all voted a dude in office, right? When the police office, when the police say they don't support him. Do you hear what the fuck I'm saying? The police officers say they don't support Joe Biden. They support Donald Trump. And this is what you voted for? You didn't read the signs? All the signs was there. I guess the fake news didn't cover them parts. I guess the fake news, when they showed clips and they knew black people wasn't going to watch the whole debate, they only showed you the clips they wanted you to see. They didn't show you these parts. But a nigga like me had to watch the whole debate because I had to understand what was being done and what was being put in offices and what was being so-called put in power. Right? I had to see this and how they going to be put in power and how they going to manipulate. And everything he said and all the videos I've done videos on during the debate, everything has came true. And you wonder why crime is up, right? You wonder why it ain't no police there to protect the communities. It's because of the person you voted for. Nothing else. Donald Trump told you he gets no police report. And Joe Biden couldn't even respond. I remember this part. He called Joe Biden out like, Joe Biden, who supports you, Joe Biden? Who supports you? I mean, who supports you, Joe? You have no law office support. Who supports you?
Call for community control of policing.
Hiring and giving policemen a raise.
He's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support.
Look,
he has no law enforcement
that's
support.
Not true.
Almost
that's
nothing.
Pardoning with federal, state, local, community groups to reduce gun violence. Investing in community interventions. They use trusted community members to work directly with people who are most likely to commit gun crimes or become the victims of gun crimes.
Huh? Why is he talking about this at a National Peace Officers Memorial? Victims of gun crimes and stuff like that. What about the victims, you know what I'm saying, of gun violence amongst officers or against officers who family members sitting in the front row came to hear a speech about their family member that gave their life? What about them? It's not about them. It's about the criminal with Joe Biden.
And intervene before it's too late.
Look, really, who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you.
My mother said if everything bad, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. We're looking hard to determine why and what we can do to prevent that law enforcement officer being put in the middle.
Go ahead. Think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
No, think
all
about it. Name one law enforcement group that came out and supported you.
Think about this. Joe Biden couldn't name one law enforcement group. He's been vice president for 8 years, a senator for 47, running for president, had the 94 crime bill. He's supposed to support the police, right? He couldn't get one police agency to support him during the 2020 campaign. Not one. But this is your president?
I'm encouraging every mayor, governor to use the American resource money they have, and they have it now. You spend it now.
Look, I'm going to take back the moderator's role.
This summer, when crime historically spikes, And this rescue funding for police is part of a comprehensive strategy to combat violence in America. I've laid out this plan to all the police agencies, and they're taking a good look at it.
And they said it's full of shit, right? No, think about this. If Joe Biden had a plan for police reform when he came in office, something he ran on, he'd been in office almost 16 months, or probably 16 months. What have he done? What have you done on police reform? What have you done on criminal reform? A whole year. Nothing.
President of the National Association of Police Organizations, NAPO. Our organization recently endorsed Donald Trump for re-election as President of the United States.
With my budget last year, we increased funding for state and local law enforcement by not almost, 29%.
The police officers didn't support Joe Biden then, and they don't support him now. You can't find one organization, right, that support Joe Biden. The police still support Donald Trump. Think about it. The police union still support Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. They got to do their duties and stuff like that, but they don't support Joe Biden. No union. They still ain't got no union. He still can't name a union that support him. Not one. They still support Donald Trump.
Our endorsement recognized his strong support for the men and women on the front lines, particularly during these challenging times.
That included significant investments in community-oriented police services, the COPS program designed to build legitimacy and trust in communities, to address violent crime, to combat hate and extremism.
Hate and extremism, right? What that got to do with the police officers that have fallen? This is a campaign speech. This not no memorial speech. This not no paying respect to fallen officers speech. This is a campaign speech.
My budget for the next year doubles the investment in community policing.
We value his support of aggressive federal prosecution of those who attack our police officers.
$573 million, the most in over a decade. And on top of that, it includes $30 billion in new mandatory investments in law enforcement and crime prevention. During my State of the Union address, I announced what I called a unity agenda that brings the country together to address the big challenges we face.
The big challenges that we face, and one of them evidently ain't police officers dying. That's not one of the big challenges. It's not crime in these liberal cities, right? It's not none of that. It's not the kids that's dying. It's not none of that. You know what it is. It's COVID.
Oh, really?
Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals to get the killer of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him. And for 3 days,
President Trump
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
And one of those included ending the opioid epidemic and addressing the mental health crisis.
Joe Biden said he's going to end the opioid epidemic, right? When it was Donald Trump who was working with China. It was Donald Trump who made China classified as a class 1 drug, A1 drug or whatever, right? It was Donald Trump administration that got people prosecuted for selling fentanyl over here. It was Donald Trump that put fentanyl in the trade deals dealing with China, right? It was Donald Trump that got President Xi, right, to ban all sales of, or make fentanyl legal in his country, right? But how is all of that? How do you get a head start on all of that, right? With China, and under Joe Biden, the very next year, and 2 years later, you have the highest deaths of fentanyl in American history, right? Because of fentanyl. Think about that. 2 years after Donald Trump worked his ass off to get this drug classified as a class 1 drug in China, right? 2 years. They get people prosecuted, right? brought President Xi in front of everybody and told him it ain't gonna be no deal until this is done. I done a video on that. Right? And what happens 2 years later? More people die of fentanyl, the drug that just got banned in China, than any other drug at any other time in American history. How is that possible?
So many, young and old, because of this pandemic, need help.
Huh? Because of the pandemic. The fentanyl because of the pandemic. Everything is about the pandemic. You think the police officers want to hear that? Huh? Where's our respect, Joe Biden?
And having a problem, a mental problem, is no different than breaking your arm or your leg. You need to invest in systems to provide adequate health care.
Huh? What do health care got to do with the police officers falling, Joe Biden? Why are you talking about health care at a time like this? Where's their time at? Can't you talk about that at another time and pay them 30 minutes of respect or 20 minutes of respect without talking about health care? Huh? A Build Back Better plan? Huh? And it gets worse than this, what he talk about.
Counseling, drug treatment, prevention, housing, education, other social services to those who need it most.
Add to that, just kind of a revolving door in a lot of cities that are taking violent offenders and allowing them to get out of prison, get out of jail early or quickly, so they can continue to reoffend. All of these, a lot of factors that contribute to this, but there's several things that we need to take a serious look at, because we need to attract our best and brightest in order to be able to keep officers coming into this profession. And all of this rhetoric, all of these things that are happening to us are not helpful in the long run. We're in a crisis mode, and our profession is struggling. It's dying.
Our profession as police officers are struggling. It's dying. Have you ever heard a police officer say, right? Homicide, they leaving, everybody leaving, right? Retiring. Our profession is struggling. It's dying. The officer in Seattle said it may be 700 officers, less than 700 officers in the whole city. Of what, 1 million plus? 700 officers, the patrol 1 million plus? Right? Joe Biden talking about, and this is so disrespectful, right? While the police officers are dying at an alarming rate, Joe Biden have the nerve to get up here and talk about prisoners getting out of jail and their rights. Some of the people that probably shot at them or ran from them or, assaulted they family members or something like that. He's sitting here at a police memorial talking about their rights. You can't get no lower than that.
Right now, in most places, you serve your time in prison, you get a bus ticket and $25 and you end up under the same bridge you got arrested under the first time.
Biden has turned his candidacy over to the far left anti-law enforcement radicals.
They should have access to education and housing. Give them a chance to move beyond where they were. I'm committed to investing in mental health services, so we have more school counselors, psychologists, and social workers working alongside you.
Huh? He talking about getting them help, getting more funding to get psychiatrists and social workers to work with them for domestic violence and stuff like that. That's not funding the police. That's defunding the police. Not hire more officers, hire more social workers. So the funding is going towards social workers and community policing, right? That's what you call defunding the police.
His signing of the Law Enforcement Mental Health and Wellness Act and his support for permanently authorizing funds to support 9/11 first responders and their families.
That's Donald Trump. Joe Biden wants to support criminals getting out of jail and their families.
At the same time, we have to do more to protect our officers' mental health and emotional well-being.
After he done held a speech talking about giving these criminals a bus ticket and giving them more money and giving them a place to stay and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, we also need to worry about police officers' mental health. Why you couldn't say that at first? Why do you even have to bring up recidivism and people not going back to jail at a police memorial, at an officer's memorial? Why even bring that up? You could have talked about officers' mental health. You didn't have to talk about their mental health. You could have left that at another Black Lives Matter speech you're going to have. Lead this time for the peace officers. Not, oh yeah, I forgot about y'all. We also got to worry about y'all.
Suicide was the second highest cause of death with law enforcement officers in 2021.
And guess what? And look, right after that, suicide is number one. Right after that, guess what he's going to say? I mean, it's number two. Right after that, you're going to see what he's going to say number one is. Huh? That's number two, but we all would know what number one is.
Surpassed only by COVID-19.
And as a senator, Kamala Harris pushed to further restrict police, cut their training, and make our American communities and streets even more dangerous than they already are.
We recognize that with our military, more people continue to die from post-traumatic stress at home than die in any wars that are going on now.
Conversely,
listen to what he say, right? I don't know if the Democrat, I don't think CNN played this. I don't think MSNBC played this. I guarantee you no liberal that watched them channels ever heard what he finna say right here. And he gave you fair warning. This is the deepest shit he said on the video. And this is a police officer union, the president of unions that support Donald Trump, and spoke at the Republican National Convention. But he finna say some of the realest shit that you ever heard. And it came back to bite you in your ass.
President Trump supports the creation of a national standard for training on de-escalation and communication to give officers more tools to resolve conflict without violence.
All the calls that result in an officer's death are calls to intervene in a domestic violence dispute. Let me say it again. 40%. We expect officers to have degrees in psychology. We expect them to have things that are beyond the capacity of any PhD or doc or anybody else.
Here we go right here. Here we go right here. He finna say the realest shit right here, right? He finna say the realest shit right here. This is the end. I say the best shit for last, right? The difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
The differences between Trump, Pence, and Biden-Harris are crystal clear.
I'm committed to being your partner, as I always have.
Your choices are the most pro-law enforcement president we've ever had, or the most radical anti-police ticket in history.
Huh? Did you hear what he said? The most pro-police officer, a law enforcement support, whatever we ever had, are the most radical. I need to replay that again. That's so deep. We need to hear that one more time. That's so deep. We need to hear that. Uno more time. Uno momento. Uno momento.
Your choices are the most pro-law enforcement president we've ever had.
Pro-law enforcement. That's what it was. That's your choice between the most pro-law enforcement president we ever fucking had. More than Obama, Clinton, Carter, any president you can ever name. Think about it. The most pro-law enforcement president we ever had. Name one officer that got more support from police officers than Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? That supported more officers than Donald Trump. Right? It wasn't Biden. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't Obama. It wasn't Bush's. It wasn't Clinton. It wasn't Reagan. Right? It wasn't Carter. I can go down the line. It was Donald fucking Trump.
Or the most radical anti-police ticket in history.
The most radical. Defund the police. Kamala Harris, right, had her thing with the police. She's the most liberal candidate, president candidate, or senator on the Democratic side, right? That was your choice. And what did you choose? You chose the most anti-police administration in the history. There has never been a war on the police in history like it was under Obama and Biden. Not under Donald Trump, not under George Bush, not under the Clintons, not under the Carter, not under nobody. And he gave you warning. This is the most radical ticket for anti-police in American history. And now you worried about, and now you wonder why crime has went up. Now you want to know why officer morale and officer retirement, officers quitting, officers resigning has went up. Right? Why gun sales have went up. People hiring private securities have went up. Right? Murder has went up. No people, police. Criminals being released for free have went up. Kids being murdered have went up. And to think about this, we more worried about Afghanistan than the things that's happening in our own country. That's my show for today. I'll see y'all tomorrow with abortions. Sad day in America. Much respect and God bless the people that have lost their life in New York. Tragic.